The Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at netsn.live.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of bEast from the East. It's the season review show. The season is now over. Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. NETSN Brett Sweeney. Alongside of me tonight, got Jeremy Diamond, Mr. Reds, and a TKO Kyle Owen. And if you're not third, you're last. Mr. Jaron Peoples. Welcome, fellas.
What's up? What's up?
Jaron,
Welcome back, Jaron.
Good to have you back,
Thanks.
Jaron.
Yeah.
You decided to come back to end the season here, I guess.
Yeah, I wanted to come back and defend my bronze medal. You know, it's one thing to get first. If you're second, you know, like you were almost first, but if you're third, that really takes skill. And so, I felt like I needed to come and wrap up and say that it's really what I was going for all along. It's the most skill is the bronze medal. So yeah.
Skill. Okay. All right.
I'm just glad to see that he's getting ready for baseball season with the Cincinnati Reds hat on. So he's
let's go Bulldogs, baby, go Dogs.
Oh man, it was
I'm ready for baseball season though.
It was a fun season on the pick'ems, and we'll go through those before we start talking about the games. This week was tough, but hey, not tough for my cousin Jason, as Jason got 8 out of 10 this week. Impressive. I mean, 2 clear of everybody else. Next was there was 3 guys that had 6. That was James Steele, Kai Terry, and Mark Pinlack had 6. I was right there. I mean, I feel like I was looking through about 5, and I was like, man, I didn't do that great. But then I looked at the leaderboard here, and Not too bad. 5th place out of everybody for the week. 5 was kind of a common number here in this room. There's a couple other you guys that had 5 as well. Kyle, sorry, man. It's been one of the seasons. I know you kind of had a few weeks early, and you had some good confidence, and then it just kind of went south for you. Once you let Jaron pass you, it was tough sledding.
Well, it's like the 2023 Eagles. We started off strong, and then just absolutely collapsed at the end of the season, and that's how I went. And I saved my worst for last. I went 4-6 this week, and up until the Carthage game, I had no victories out of the state games. So it was a rough week. I was good with the 6As. I got most of those right, but the smaller schools, I was completely wrong. But yeah, it got away from me quick. But you know what? Had a good time doing it, and I still participated every week. So I was still in there. I was in the box taking swings, just striking out.
You were here every week, Kay. I think right. Was there 1 week that you
I did miss one. I missed one.
Not too bad. It's a pretty good percentage.
But I got all my picks in every week. It's just, showing up on the show. So I just struck out a lot, baseball reference. I just struck out a lot, but you can't be afraid to take the swings. And I'm going to continue swinging whether I miss or not.
That's right. Jeremy, it was your first year to do them, and not too shabby. You were second out of us.
Yeah, I mean, I figure maybe it's beginner's luck. I mean, I guess we'll find out next year if it was beginner's luck or if it was just the start of something new. But I thought I had a chance to catch you for a little bit there, and I just couldn't quite get it within about. I think I got it within about 2, and that was about as close as I could get. And yeah, I mean, I thought the same thing. Like going into the championship weekend, I felt pretty confident, and then like those first few games didn't go my way, and I got really nervous. I was like, man, this is going to be one of those weeks where I might go 3-7 and be lucky to get 3-7 and. To finish 5-5, I still was pretty disappointed. But like you said, you go to the leaderboard and you're in a good spot. And then overall, I felt pretty confident where I finished, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, the final leaderboard results. Our overall champion, he's been up there towards the top for the last several weeks. But our overall champion, Lewis Ray. Shout out to Lewis Ray. He's our overall champ this year. Lewis had 116. He just edged me by 1. I was in second there at 115, and Doug Montgomery came in third at 114. And then I had a kind of a quartet of people there at fourth with 112. That was Jeremy, Jonathan Bradshaw, Ron Orlowski, and Skip Netherland. So then Jaron was down there next in the 8th slot with some other guys there at 111. Let's see. Scott Poole, our defending champion from last year, also had 111. Brandon Ogden down there at 108 and 15th. And then on the first page, KO still there, 17th. You made the first page though. That's you were trying to get there.
Yeah, the main thing is I'm on the first page. I think it was those strong first couple of weeks that got me up there, because if we went by the last 5 weeks, I would not be anywhere near the first page. So happy for the strong start. We just didn't finish like we wanted to, but there's always next year. We'll work on it in the off season. We'll craft the picks better, and we'll do better next year. Yeah.
I mean, that just shows how hard high school football picks is. You can cover them all the time or not, and it's still kind of a crapshoot almost. It just seems like it's just hard to tell.
It does get harder as the playoffs goes though, because we start widening our net a little bit, and while we know some things about some of those bigger DFW Houston schools, we don't know them like we do East Texas schools. So it is a little bit more of a crapshoot on some of the picks. I think all of our scores reflected that. So
I feel like I did well. Never mind. I just went back and looked. I thought I did better in the state semifinal round, but I didn't. It was the regional final round that I went 8-2. I had a good round then. So yeah, what you're saying, Jaron, is correct. I guess when we widen our net, it gets worse.
I think the picks go with how our East Texas teams go, kind of, because we tend to lean towards our teams we know, and not that East Texas had a bad year, but I'd say if you just said before the season that only one team would win a state championship, I would have probably took the over, just because of what I thought that East Texas had. But still a solid year. I think that the second or third week that we took a big hit and lost a lot of schools.
That second week.
Yeah, and it just wiped out a lot of some of the ones that we thought, like the Franksons and the Gladewaters, who we thought might make a little run, kind of got wiped out, and so that hurt our picks quite a bit there coming down the stretch.
Well, even 2 weeks ago, when we thought we were going to have 4 teams, AT&T only ended up with 3, and then only one of those three won. So
yeah, well, that's okay. It's still a good season. Had a lot of things to talk about. We'll talk about the season once we get done with our picks, but let's go through these picks. We'll start with the first game, Hamilton and Joaquin. The Rams got off to a great start, went down, did what they do, scored on the first possession, and then after that, Hamilton just kind of took control of the game. Kale, you were there. Tell us what you got to see and what you saw on the sideline down there as that Joaquin Rams team just one game away from a state championship, and they got to the game this year but just couldn't finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, what you said was right. Joaquin had a playoff Joaquin type drive on the very first drive of the game. I mean, I think it was like 14 or 15 plays, 60-something yards, took about 7 minutes off the clock, like just a classic Joaquin Ram drive, goes down and scores. Then Hamilton does basically the same thing. I think 13 plays, 65 yards, they go down and score. You're thinking, all right, it's one of these type games. It's going to be kind of back and forth. But I think Hamilton's size just gave Joaquin all kinds of trouble. Like, Hamilton was a big 2A team. They had some really tall, lanky guys on the outside. Lanky's not the right word. I apologize, Hamilton. They had some tall guys on the outside, athletic guys that could go up and get the ball. And Joaquin, I think, size-wise, just didn't match up very well in the trenches and on the outside with Hamilton. And Hamilton was able to take advantage of it. Not that Joaquin played bad. It's just one of those things where we talk about it all the time. If Joaquin gets down or gets behind in these games, it's really hard for them to come back. And I will say one thing that aggravated me Wednesday night, they were down 21-7 with about 7.5 minutes left to go in the game. And they're kind of trying to go on a drive, and they are just taking their time. Like, there's no urgency to get up on the ball, get it snapped quick. Let's go faster. It was the same offense that they've ran all season long, which I understand that's what you're used to. But when you're down by 14, you need 2 scores with 7 minutes left. Me personally, I would like to see a little more urgency and not snapping the ball with 5 or 6 seconds left on the play clock every time. But that was just me.
Let me ask you a question. They've done it all year, but the quarterback runs over to Coach Jones and gets to play.
He was doing that still.
That has got to be. I mean, I know that's their style when they're in there, but when they're in a hurry up, it might be more efficient for them to get some kind of. They have the deals where you communicate to the quarterback. There's no need for him to run over, get a play. Like, there's got to be a little more efficient way. Now, you don't have to do that all the time, but you need some kind of option if you get behind, because they were burning like an extra 20 to 30 seconds of clock time.
It was painful to watch, man. Like, you're like, I'm over there on the sidelines. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. We're running out of time. Let's go. And so that was the aggravating thing for me was watching that and I get it. Like you just said, they run over. That's what they do all year long. But I think personally, in my opinion, you need to have a hurry up type offense. We called it NASCAR when I was at Lindale. They would be on the sidelines doing this, like NASCAR. We're in a hurry up offense. We're not looking down at the wristband anymore. We're doing hand signals. We're calling what we need to do. And I think if you're Joaquin, either if you're going to run over like that, call 2 plays. Give the quarterback 2 plays. We're running this. After that, run this, and then come back. But running back and forth every single play, like you said, it 20, 30 seconds every single time was just – it was killer. It killed it. And even if they did score with 2 minutes or something left, now you're resorted to have to get this onside kickback to even have a chance. So, that's the only complaint I guess I have of the whole thing. They played their tails off. I mean, Joaquin did not quit. They fought till the very end. Just ran up against the better team. I mean, Hamilton had the dudes, and still a great year for Coach Jones and the Rams. That getting all the way to the state semis a year ago, getting back to that stage and punching your ticket to AT&T Stadium for the first time. I think that's tremendous, and I think it's something they can build on going forward.
Well, and I think too, like and again, I was a middle school coach, right? But we ran similar to what the high school did, right? And so a couple of things. When we wanted to go fast, we wore wristbands. We didn't wristband everything, but when we wanted to go quick, we had a set of plays that we wanted, right? There were 20 plays on a wristband, and so we had color signals. We would, right, you'd signal in a formation. You could do some of those things. Another thing you could do is rotate backs. You step back in with a play, and you have your next back ready with the next play, and you rotate them out. We watched Shiner do that with their 3 running backs. Now, that may not have been how they signaled in plays, but that constantly has so that way the quarterback's not having to do it. Or if you're the quarterback and you know you're not going to keep the ball, sprint over to the sideline as soon as that you give it away. Like, go get over there, get quicker. I think, but I kind of thought the same thing. Like, it was just too slow. They looked like they were up 21-7 with the cadence and the rhythm they were running, and so you needed to go a little bit quicker. And again, Hamilton just did a really good job of frustrating. I mean, Cooper Bragg just didn't have a lot of room to get anywhere. And so, those are easy things to say, right? It's easy to say those things from watching on TV or, not being in the middle of it. And again, they had a system that worked well for them, but that's the hard part with that offense. If you're not explosive somewhere else other than the ground game, when you get behind 2 scores, it's hard to catch up, because even if you run those plays faster, I'm not sure that it, with that style, gives them enough time to get 2 scores in with the amount of time remaining anyway, unless they busted a big run.
Darren, what do you think?
Yeah, so as far as running over to the coach to get the, that's real common in slot T, triple option, flex bone stuff, right? And so much of that offense depends on they do so much pre-snap, so that's going to take a lot of time, right? And a lot of what they're doing, it's really heavy dependent on snap counts. They do a lot of trying to draw off sides. That's just, when I was covering Tatum, that's what they did the whole time. And so it just naturally takes up time. And I'm with you guys, though, knowing that at this deep in the playoffs, you're probably not going to be able to get the commanding lead like you typically like. Now, to their point, or to their defense, the week before they were down 3 scores, right, and they were able to come back quickly and had some things fall in their favor to punch your ticket to AT&T, and so they can come back quick. They did it, a week before.
But they were relying on 2 onside kicks. I mean,
right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's some gutsy 2-point, conversion calls and then onside kicks, right? And which obviously you're not going to rely on every week. But obviously great, great run for them. Like to think they're on definitely an upward trajectory. Hopefully they'll be back, and I know we'll talk about it a little bit. I know we've talked about doing the show, but that that district's going to get fun with some potential changes for sure. And then I wanted to mention Hamilton too. And we had a crew cover them, I guess, when they played Carlisle a few weeks ago, and I didn't notice it quite as much then as I did the other night when I was watching. But you were right, Kale. Those guys are big. They were huge, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and they are a big 2A. They're actually going to go up to 3A next. Once the switch, they'll be a 3A D2 school, and so they're definitely on the big side, numbers and size. But so yeah, they did a good job to them. But yeah, I think Joaquin will be back.
All right, game 2, just a complete shocker to me. Munster just destroyed Shiner 28-0. Jeremy, I mean, you called that game with Shiner the week before with Mount Enterprise, and their defense was so aggressive, and they were tackling. They forced Ash to do everything he could. He still was able to get his yards, but were able to keep him out of the end zone. The quarterback Carney from Munster was kind of that same player, right? He was their bell cow for Munster. Had a few more weapons, but Munster just impressive. 28-0. I mean, I picked Shiner in this one, but I thought this would be a good game because of the fact that it was a rematch of 2 teams that had played last year. But man, if you'd have told me that Munster would have won 28-0, I thought you were pulling my leg. I mean, I just was super surprised by this. But I mean, shout out to Munster. They put it to a Shiner program that had been really stymieing folks all season long on defense, and they put out on a shutout themselves. I mean, how surprised were you by the score, Jeremy?
Yeah, I was shocked. I think looking back, like probably hindsight, the thing that probably should have keyed me in was when, we talked to the coaching staff, and they were they were happier to play Mount Enterprise than they would have been to play
Fremont.
I just went completely Bremond, because Bremond had different weapons, right? Where I think they felt safer with Mount Enterprise because they knew Ash was the primary weapon and really the bulk of that offense. And so they were able to really key in on the run game, where I think, like you said, Munster having a few more weapons than just the run game, I think allowed them to have a little bit more flexibility. But the way that defense played, I didn't see 28-0, and the way the offense was able to move around and do things. I mean, with Jones and those guys, I mean, they had three backs that were tearing it up, and then the quarterback, I just was shocked they didn't get a single point in. I think it was kind of similar to the same shock we had going, how did Kagan Ash not score a single point in the state semifinal? I think this was kind of that same shock that, like, maybe not that they lost, but they couldn't put up a single point and then giving up 28. I would have, if you had told me that was the score, I would have thought it was in the other direction of Shiner's favor, just watching them play the week before and the way they were just so dominant defensively.
Jaron?
Yeah, I mean, this is such a classic matchup, right? It's a repeat from the year before. These two programs going back 3, 4, 5 years have been some of the perennial programs in N2A. So you expect to see a little bit closer of a match. I think that, the game last year was like, a 7-point game, I think. And so, just to get, for any team in the state playoffs, state championships, to get shut out is surprising, right? But particularly one of like Shiner that's been scoring points. I think they average low 40s, through the year, and so that's super surprising. Credit to Munster though, and that's one that Diggs will claim as a DFW school because its pinky nail touches Oklahoma, and and so, but shout out to them. Both these teams will be back, I think, and
he already claimed Munster. I saw. Oh yeah, it didn't take him a half a second. When they won, they were like, "Oh, they're in. They're on the team."
I think. Don't quote me on this, but I think both of these schools also are moving up to Division I next year.
Shiner definitely is. I looked the other day.
Yeah, no, Shiner is. I'm not sure about Munster.
I think they said that both of them would be. We could see this matchup in Division I next year. But because I think Shiner, they had some young pieces. I think they're on the younger side, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them. I know the quarterback Williams was a sophomore.
Yeah, I think two of the three running backs were juniors at most. I mean, they were skill wise they should be returning a bunch. Yeah, I mean it was like I said, shocking. Just the score was.
KO, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, Munster is one of 3 teams over this past week that repeated as champs. So I'm not surprised that they won. I am surprised at the score and that Shiner got shut out, especially just what they did to Mount Enterprise the week before, and being able to shut down Kagan Ash like that is impressive. And you think going into the state game, when you shut down the best player in the state in 2A, that your defense is going to be able to hold up again. But to y'all's point, different weapons, different way of playing the game. So just looked a little different. But congratulations, Munster, going back to back. And I meant to mention this earlier too. Hamilton, first ever state title for them. So congratulations to them getting their first ever, and congrats to Munster going back to back.
Yeah, it's Hamilton's first appearance, right?
Mm-hmm. Both of them first appearance, Joaquin and Hamilton. So somebody was going to win their first title.
So speaking of first title, how about Yoakum with a 45-29 win over Grandview? And Yoakum has speed, guys. They've got some guys that can really, really run. I mean, I did take Yoakum this one. This was my first win of the weekend. I was. It took me a couple of games. I'm like, man, is this just going to be opposite week? Everybody I picked was going to lose. Did get this one right. I think it is a testament to that region 3, just getting through that region with all the talent down there with Westwood. You had Columbus, you had Fairfield, you had Franklin, a lot of talent down there. And so Yoakum, a non-district champion, they don't win district, but they win state. So shout out to the Yoakum Bulldogs there for getting their first state championship. Any thoughts on this one, Jaron? What do you think about the this Yoakum team?
Well, they got a stud, that running back Xavier Barnett. He's going to play at SMU. 5 touchdowns, 193 yards, 17 carries. That's ridiculous, right? And that's a team. or it's won their first state championship, like you said. So congrats to them. But yeah, I had not to knock Grandview, but even like I just had them not. I wouldn't say imposters, but like they just. I guess I didn't see them getting this far, and I thought so. So credit to them for sure. But I just knew that Yoakum it was really fine for some. Grandview had been there before. Yoakum hadn't. Yeah. So I picked Yoakum, and so I'm like you. That was my first win of the week.
Kale, you had Grandview. What'd you think about this game?
Impressed by Barnett. Xavier Barnett has tremendous speed and athleticism. I think he ran out of his shoe and scored a touchdown, if I remember correctly in that one. Yeah. So just tremendous athlete. SMU's getting one heck of a player. He tied, I believe, the state record for rushing touchdowns in a game with 5. So, I mean, just a phenomenal performance. I think what impressed me the most was Yoakum's defense being able to shut down Grandview, because a lot of Grandview's points came later in that game. I mean, it was pretty much all Yoakum majority of that ball game, and Grandview started coming back at the end. But I think that's what impressed me the most. Obviously Barnett, but then Yoakum's defense being able to hold Grandview like they did, because I mean, Jeremy had talked about it last week. Blue Hubbard and all those guys, all those athletes on offense that can really do some damage. And Yoakum just Slinkard had 3 touchdowns, but Blue Hubbard, I mean, just had a mediocre game to his standards. So I don't know. I'm happy for Yoakum, happy that they got it. But yeah, I picked Grandview because I went with pedigree. But this seems to be the state championships where pedigree didn't really matter much in the small school ranks.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I picked Yoakum, and that was my first win of the weekend. And I didn't know it was going to be. I mean, like I said, I watched the game, and it was a dominant Yoakum performance. Like, I mean, it was one of those where they were in control the whole time, and so the score wasn't really indicative of the way the game went. Right? It was really all Yoakum, and then Grandview. And again, that's not to take anything away from Grandview. It was just that Yoakum was so dominant in that game, and man, they just had speed. I felt like everybody that touched the ball probably ran. Like, it was like they were just going to make. You were just waiting on somebody to score and then go, yeah, he runs a 4.340. Like, it just felt like every guy that got the ball, and everybody that did anything they just had speed for days. And Grandview struggled a little bit, I think, against that speed and against the quickness. Those bigger guys that they have, they couldn't get separation, right? Blue Hubbard and some of those guys where they were able to like use their physical prowess against some other teams. The speed of Yoakum kind of negated their physical presence, it felt like, in that game. And so I think it was just tough for Grandview to get any kind of traction in that game early.
All right. Game 4, maybe the game of the weekend as far as closeness goes. Wall and Newton. I've obviously followed Newton a little bit. They're coming out of a region with some of our East Texas schools. They're on the southern end of East Texas. And this was so impressive. Wall, to me, was they did what they wanted on Newton for a while and got that lead up. I watched this one, the majority of it, and it was almost like Newton controlled that game overall, but they just couldn't quite get ahead of Wall. They made a lot of mistakes, the penalties, turnovers, things like that really hurt them. If you look at the yardage, I believe Newton had about 100-something more yards total. Like they were doing what they wanted to. They just kept making those mistakes. There was some crazy plays that 4th down conversion to get within, before they, went for the conversion to get back in the game at the very end was an insane catch. A couple of crazy plays there in that one. And they were an onside kick away, which it was almost there, guys. The onside kick was like, I
have a question.
Yes.
This is not a shot at whoever this kid is. Why is number 55 on the hands team?
No.
You should not have a 50 number and be on the hands team. I'm just saying, because Newton would have got that onside kickback, but 55's hand tipped it. Like, why? Anyway, proceed. Sorry.
No, there was some craziness there. A game which kind of had Wall ahead the majority there, and Newton closed it at the end and had that chance. And that was the craziest looking onside kick. There was about 5 or 6 guys that had a chance at getting it from each team. I mean, it was nuts. But what a finish to that game. I mean, shout out to Wall as they get the state championship. And this was where I was like, man, is this going to be a year of firsts? I mean, I didn't know. I thought Newton was going to come in and take care of this one, but what a classic. What a classic, guys. Kyle, you were watching this one. I mean, it was hard to watch as someone that picked Newton. Like they had so many chances in this game to take control.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the stats as you're talking about it. I mean, Newton outgained them 386 to 200. They held Wall to 6 rushing yards the entire game, 20 rushing attempts, 6 yards rushing for Wall. You look at the time of possession. Newton had the ball 30 minutes to Wall's 17. So like complete domination by Newton, and they still came up on the short end of it. It's just that's tough. It's a tough way to go out. KJ Porter made a phenomenal catch just to get them into that position to get the 2-point conversion. So yeah, I mean, it was a great effort by Newton. Yeah, looking at the stats, if you didn't watch the game, then you just look at the stats, you're wondering how in the heck did Newton lose this ball game? But like you mentioned, some penalties, some just costly mistakes at inopportune times just cost the Newton Eagles. But impressive by Wall too, because we've seen this Newton team just absolutely obliterate opponents, putting up 70, 80 points a game. And Wall was able to hold them to 8 points for majority of that game till Newton started coming back in the second half. So hats off to Wall, man, to get their first state title, and good job by the Newton Eagles to get to that stage. And they have enough talent over there that I don't think this is the last we'll see of the Purple Eagles down at AT&T Stadium.
No, that's definitely not the last time that we hear from them. And I think this is going to motivate them. They had so many dudes that could run the football for them. I think they're going to have a nice stable of backs returning. But it's just so hard to when you look at this, just look through the stats of this game. Like it doesn't make it
It's wild.
It doesn't make any sense, right? I mean, you know, the way the game was flowing the whole time, I just kind of thought, I had this feeling, I was like, okay, they're going to come back in this game. They're about to come back. And they got close. They just gave themselves too much of a hole to get there. I think it was really Reed Robertson for Wall with his 102 yards and 2 touchdowns was really the difference. He on the outside was able to get in the end zone, and that passing game, they just couldn't get they couldn't get close enough. And I was trying to find a good stat on here it is. So the penalties, because I know there was a ton of them, and I was trying to find the actual number, but I want to say they had over 100 yards in penalties when I was following the game live, because that right there is a problem. Like, I think Jeremy and I were at a game. Which game was that, Jeremy? That there was like penalties every single play.
Yeah, that was a bit there in that ME Bremont, the Mount Enterprise Bremont. It felt like it was like it was just like yellow every play. And it was like, okay, what's the new one?
So Newton just kept getting penalties and just put themselves in tough spots all game long, and just kind of made themselves have to work extra hard. When this game, I felt like if you would take those penalties out, I feel like Newton probably wins by a couple scores. But shout out to Wall. They did what they did, and they didn't make the mistakes, and it helped them.
Well, I think that was like the second wildest onside kick of the weekend. There was that one, I think you and I were watching it. They kicked an onside and ended up actually going farther backwards than, like, he had so much spin on it. It went forward about 4 yards, and then it ended up spinning backwards behind where they actually kicked it from. And so the team that ended up recovering it actually got like it was like, I don't know, it was the weirdest kickoff I've ever seen. I mean, that thing had just so much side spin that it ended up going behind where the tee was originally. It was a weird onside. I don't remember what game that was, but yeah, that onside in that game was crazy too. And yeah, Newton had chances, and they just kind of, it's kind of the same thing that happened to Mount Enterprise. Like eventually those mistakes caught up to them, and they just couldn't overcome those penalties there, even though they had some chances and opportunities, and kind of spot and wall that big lead, put them behind the. You almost have to like force things a little bit, right? Like you have to take some chances, and sometimes doing that gets you out of what you're used to doing, and it can lead to mistakes.
Jaron?
Yeah, so I had Wall on this game. I love the storyline at Newton, right? Coach Johnston, the younger, be the first chance to take them back to the state championship since his dad passed, was that 2018, right? And so I love the storyline of that. But Wall, for the longest time, they couldn't get out of their region because they kept running in against Canadian, right, which is a solid team. And then, of course, in the semis, you have to take on Gunner. And so when you finally slay that giant, you kind of walk in kind of like with your chest out, right? Like, ain't no one going to get in our way. And you got to give it to Coach Slaughter, because what's interesting is he's not a coach that's had a ton of, like, success. Like, he was at Sweetwater and had a 9-21 mark over 3 seasons. Then he's at Llano. He's 18-36 over a few seasons. Became the defensive coordinator at Wall. Then when their coach left, he ended up taking a head coach position, and we're able to get these guys off over a hump that they hadn't been able to get over the past couple of years. So huge shout out to Coach Slaughter. But I just think their defense was just too much. And again, looking at those guys, they had some size and some speed on that Wall defense. And so, again, I wanted to see it for Newton, but I picked Wall just because I thought them coming off that big win over Gunner, they weren't going to be scared of anybody. So,
KO?
Yeah.
You already went to him. Yeah, you already did.
Anyway, they had 12 penalties for 100 yards. Newton did. So to your point, that a ton of penalties and a ton of yardage.
Yeah, that's a tough way. I mean, you get in a state championship game, it's going to be hard to overcome that much, because usually the teams are pretty even, and so anything that can go one way or the other. I just think if you take the overall game, take those out, I feel like Newton was a better team. But credit to Wall, they didn't make mistakes. They played a clean game, and they came out with a 1-point win. I think shout to them. That's an awesome accomplishment for Wall here. Game 5, Stephenville Kilgore, a defensive slugfest, 10-0 win for Stephenville. And Kale, I know you were there, but I feel bad for Mr. Brooks. Just a rough outing for Kason Brooks, and he's played super well all year. But that Stephenville defense, man, tell me how big those guys were up front.
Well, I know the Cowboys played in there on Sunday, but it looked like some of the Cowboys linemen may have suited up for the Stephenville Yellow Jackets. Now they were big. They were big down there for sure. And yeah, to your point, Kason had a rough game. 4 turnovers, 3 picks, and a fumble. But the Stephenville didn't score points on any of those turnovers. So shout out to Kilgore's defense. I mean,
yeah.
If you would have told me before the game, Kilgore is going to only score, or excuse me, Stephenville is only going to score 10 points. Like Kilgore is going to hold Stephenville to 10 points. I say Kilgore wins probably 14-10. Like I think holding them to 10 points is impressive, but that offense, man, just could not get anything going whatsoever. And it was the size up front that I think really hurt Kilgore, because they couldn't. Stephenville was so big in the interior that when they were trying to run the football, they just weren't getting anywhere. And something I don't understand, you have LaKeelion Graves, who's 4-star Texas State signee, going to play for the Bobcats next year. He had 3 targets in the game, 1 catch for 3 yards on offense. That's a problem. You have to get your best players involved in the game. And it's not like the talent isn't there. You have Kason that can sling it. You got LaKeelion on the outside, Jacalyn Sheffield, Dre Sanders, Tyler Donegan. You've got weapons. I don't understand why it was
40 yards passing, KO. 40.
But they kept trying to force the run. And I get it. That's what Kilgore's done all year. But we've seen them sling it around. Kason's thrown for 6 touchdowns in a game. Like, he can sling it. So the the play calling was baffling to me. And then later in the game, they started airing it out and got a couple of pass interference penalties late in that game to try and get them close to the end zone. Why weren't you doing that earlier in the game when you saw that the size was going to be a problem? And I think as well as that defense played, the offense played equally as bad. And I think that's the biggest disappointment for me is last year when Kilgore got to this game, the defense kind of laid an egg, gave up 55 points to Salina, offense scored 21. But this year, the defense came and played probably the best game they've played all year long. And the offense just could not help them out at all. And I hate it for Kilgore. I hate it for Coach Fuller. Getting there last year and losing is one thing. Going back-to-back years and falling short in back-to-back years, my heart hurts for those kids. You could see the pain on their face. Coach Fuller in the post-game interview, in the press conference, he was taking his time trying to collect himself before each response because you could tell he was just on the verge of breaking down. They were broken. And I hate it for Kilgore. I do. And I don't – it's tough, man, to get back. We take it. I know we're going to talk about him in a second. We take for granted what Carthage does as many times as they go to state and as many times as they win state. It is hard. It is. We just talked about a lot of teams winning their first ever titles. It is hard to get to this stage. So it's going to be tough for Kilgore to get back there again next year, but I'm not going to count Coach Fuller and the Bulldogs out by any means. It's just going to be tough, man. And I hate it for them. My heart breaks for them. But at the end of the day, when you look back at it, for the past 2 years, Kilgore has been one of the final 2 teams in the state of Texas in 4A Division I. And that's something to be proud of. I know they're not going to want to hear that right now, but that is something that you can hang your hat on. Those seniors can hang their hat on, that they were one of the top 2 teams in the state of Texas the final 2 years of their high school experience. So I think there's a lot of positives you could take from the season as a whole. The championship game, though, was a big disappointment.
Darren?
Yeah, I think they had a game plan, and that was going to be run the ball because they knew they were outsized in the trenches. Run the ball, try to back those guys up, put them on their heels, and then let Kaysen start slinging. And I just think that pressure and just the size up front was just so much. And I don't know if Kaysen was getting his reads like he usually does. It just, again, I think just they knew they were going to be outsized. And that's something that Coach Doty's always done it, since he's been at Stephenville. He's a career lineman himself, and I just think just having just a lot of beef and a lot of talent in the trenches has been something that Stephenville's really been good at, and just a lot of pressure, and so I just think it just prevented Kilgore from really getting into the rhythm. I think they had a game plan that was to try to back up the defense, put them on their heels a little bit by running the ball, and they just couldn't ever get that established. And then to your point, KO, they had to start throwing the ball just because of the deficit later in the game. And by that time, it's just hard to catch up against a really good defense.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, I think they knew running was going to be hard. I don't think they expected it to be as difficult as it was. I think the thing that would frustrate me is there were way too many passes that were taking way too long to set up, right? It was obvious anytime it was I don't know, they just didn't disguise well. I feel like they tried a couple screens late and Stephenville was just they were waiting on them, right? It was almost too obvious. And then I felt like their routes were too deep. I felt like every route was an in breaking, a square in at 10 to 15 or a fade route, right? There wasn't anything quick. And if it was a slow bubble on the outside. I would have liked to see some more slants or, just something that give you a chance to get the ball out quick because you knew pressure was coming. And at least try to slow the linebackers down a little bit or at least prevent them from getting help because it felt like as soon as they saw – and I felt like, the quarterback, you could just tell after a couple of picks he got a little bit gun shy, right? He was trying to be a little bit more careful, which, and again, that's what – I mean, it's not a shocking thing, but you saw a couple times he had an open receiver and he pumped it, right? He almost was you could just see he kind of lost that confidence. And so – I think they should have done a few more things earlier to get him some confidence built back after that first couple of picks to kind of build him back up and get him going again. But and he by the end of it, he also saw ghosts. He was bailing out of the pocket way too quick, and it was just because I think he'd been harassed all day long that he was expecting the pressure to come even when it hadn't yet. So I think those couple of things were, cost them a little bit there. And again, you put a kid in a bad spot when it's third and long. I just felt like they had those over and over. And so I don't know. And again, it's easy to say for my peer, but I think those things, if anything, I would have liked to have seen some more quick throws or some easier throws to get him going and then kind of get him back on track. But
there's a pick on the first, either a pick on the first play of the game or first.
No, that I was about to say, though, to your point, Jeremy, they did that at the start of the game. They threw 2 quick screens on the first 2 plays of the game and got 10, 12 yards on each one of them. And then that's when the pick happened on the 3rd or 4th play. And then it's like they went away from that. And that's the thing. If you're not going to be able to move those big bodies inside, use your speed and athleticism to get on the outside, which I think is what they were trying to do at the start. And then maybe to your point, just got the routes started getting deeper and more complex. And that's when Kaysen was second guessing himself because of the earlier picks. Now, I think the last pick he threw was an underthrown ball in the end zone. Like that, you're trying to come back. That happens. That first one was the defender jumped the route. Then he had that fumble on the very next drive. Like it was a rough day for Kaysen, but it's the past 2 years, Kilgore got to that big stage and just did not perform their best. And I don't know why. I thought going into it this year, the stage wouldn't be too big. The lights wouldn't be too bright because they were just there. But it's almost like, for the offense anyway, that the stage was too big for the offense. The defense showed up, but the offense just couldn't.
They were trying to use the communicators, right? The risk communicators, I think, and they were having trouble with signal. Wasn't that the game?
I don't know. I didn't see them.
Yeah, that was so they have
that was the one, wasn't
Apple,
it? They have like
yeah,
the wrist. It almost looked like a watch kind of thing.
Apple Watch thing. They're having trouble with those. They had to bring out the old school wristband things. They I guess they've been using them all year, the digital communications, and they did have to switch that. So I don't know if
that just throws you off. I mean, it's what I mean, like you're used to getting things in a certain way and a certain speed, and then having and so I mean I think it's a lot of things, but yeah, I mean. And I hate it for the kids, right? You hate it for those kids and for the coaches because you put so much time into it. And then for that game to not get any points, right? It's one thing to lose. But, if you ask them, like, that's not their style. Their defense was phenomenal. I mean, for like you said, they gave up 4 turnovers and not 1 point was scored off of it. It says a lot about that defense. And, and again, it was a dogfight the whole way. Like Stephenville had nothing easy. They just got that big drive right after half. That first drive really kind of changed things for them. And
it was really just 2 plays too. It was the big pass play or the big run or whatever down the left side, and then they scored on like the next play or 2 plays after that. And that was it. Outside of that, the Kilgore defense didn't allow anything. Like it wasn't, but it was also kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts philosophy for Stephenville. Like they weren't hitting big plays, but those 4 or 5 yard runs were just wearing down. On a 3rd and 3, they get 4 yards, like just enough to keep the drive alive and keep the chains moving. You're right though, it was a dogfight. Both sides played really well defensively, and nothing came easy for either team.
All right.
Speaking of easy.
Yeah. Speaking of easy, Carthage 49-21. Now the score 49-21 does not dictate how this game went. It was 49-0, and then the second, third, fifth team. I don't know how many teams they've got, but they all played in this one. Just looking at this, right off the bat, the Edwards touchdown just started the onslaught, and that's when you kind of knew, okay, well, we're heading this direction. And then, of course, they scored, all the touchdowns there in the second quarter, and kind of just kept it rolling here. 3 more touchdowns. 28-0 at halftime, fellas, and it was well on its way to a rout. Just kind of going through here, Edwards finished with 153 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns. That's on 12 touches. That's not too shabby. 12.8 yards per carry. Benny Smith also added in 71 yards and a touchdown on 8 carries. And so I think that.
Hey, real quick about Benny. I thought he was Benny the Bull. Why were they calling him Benny the Boat?
I don't know. It's Benny the Bull for sure.
Is it best of all time?
No, they said the broadcast was like he was named Benny the something as a kid, and his mom didn't like it. So they renamed him to Benny the Boat. And I'm like,
No, it's
Nope,
Benny
I'm
the
pretty
Bull.
sure he's Benny the Bull.
It's
Okay,
Benny
anyway,
the Bull.
Benny the
all right,
boat.
proceed.
Okay, interesting. On the receiving end, they had 232 yards total on the day. What about Jet Surratt getting a target on a pass? That was interesting. Of course, they're always going to pull out those kind of plays. It's kind of a Coach Surratt always has those back pocket plays ready to go. Just an impressive day. Leading receiver was Junior Henderson with 4 catches or 126 yards and a touchdown. Bryson Price also had a touchdown catch along with Carson Crawford. So this just a dominating performance. I think we talked about all year. We knew the offense was going to be good, and the defense. Maybe they hurt us. That defense tightened as the season went. Like they got that fixed. I think even they noticed it. It may have been the Athens game. Is what kind of, because that was that game that they gave up. Was it 56 something points? And so that defense tightened when they needed to, and just this makes it. And we'll obviously the realignment will be interesting to see if Carthage switches to Region 3. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see them slide to Region 3. So maybe we can get an actual state championship game with the Region 2 and Region 3 colliding, because I think we saw it there at Pleasant Grove. I think that was probably their toughest competition. So shout out to Coach Surratt. 11 rings, 11 appearances, 11 state championships. Still just continues to add those up with more championships than playoff losses. It's just kind of those things. It's just laughable to even believe. And Jaron, I know you're close to the program. How shocked are you? I mean, this is obviously we talked about all year, but just the way they came out and just put it to them here in the state championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I they were confident, as you should be, right? And again, I give it to West Orange Stark. I mean, they're a storied program in their own right, but had kind of taken the back seat and was kind of the Cinderella underdog all year. And that typically only can take you so far, especially when the giant is Carthage, right? And so I think most folks knew what this was going to be, but it's still hard to get there. I don't care how many times you've been; it's still hard to get there, right? And when you have to go through programs like PG and Brock, right? And so credit to Carthage. As far as you mentioned the defense, I think Coach Preston's one of the best defensive coordinators in the state, and how he adjusted. He really is a brainiac when it comes to adjusting his defense and taking what he has. And I think you're right. He saw that too many points were getting scored, even in the first half. Because second half, typically that's their second and third string, right? So even first quarter points really were one of the weaknesses, as this, earlier in the season. And credit to him for making those adjustments. Man, they're going to miss Beck. They're going to miss Crawford, right? Those are two guys that are just phenomenal talents. I think they're going to be fine in the future. You can't help but talk about the future with Carthage, right? I think they're going to be fine in the skill position. I really do. Quarterback wise, they got Jacob Dixon, who's the quarterback coach's son. He'll be taking over signal calling. Obviously, got J.D. Edwards. I know someone that you're impressed with, KO, is Jace Harris at number 12, that sophomore. And so, and they've got some beef on the lines too. That number 75, Vernon Pittman. He's a sophomore, 6'4", 330, and he's a sophomore. Yeah, ridiculous. So, they're reloading, right? They're reloading. I think the skill position is going to be fine. They're going to be fine on. We'll see what the defense looks like. But, I think we'll see JD slide over to that running back spot, kind of like KJ did. But, man, just kudos to him. Such a storied program. And you hear a lot of talk, and I don't want to get too crazy here, but you hear a lot of talk because even on the game chat on the Dave Campbell still, there's a lot of these folks talking about all these kids that come into Carthage, I mean, KJ's daddy went to Carthage, right? And so, I mean, like, the there's a lot of born and bred Carthage kids on that team. And so, and they just, they got coaching staff that knows how to work them, knows what to do. And so congrats to them. Super proud for them. And we'll see them go for 12.
KO, what'd you see? You were there. Tell us.
Dude, it was great. You're right. That 87-yarder by KJ, second play of the game, you're just like, okay, this is how this is going to go. But to West Orange Stark's credit, it was 7-0 till late in the second quarter. Like they hung with Carthage, and then the floodgates opened. KJ scored another short one, then a 77-yarder from Surratt to Henderson, then another touchdown right before
and we
half.
talked about that last week, KO. There's a lot of folks that have stayed with Carthage for a quarter, for 2 quarters, for even 3 quarters. But can you play with them for 4 quarters? And that's what no one's been able to do all year.
Well, their second half adjustments, their locker room adjustments are crazy. With that coaching staff, they're just really good at second half adjustments.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it was already 28-0 at halftime. Like, and then on the first drive of the second half, you're lining up to punt, and Tylen Harris blocks it and picks it up and returns it for a touchdown. Like, nothing was going right for West Orange Stark. And those 21 points that came at the end of the game, they might as well just be throwaway points because it was mistakes by Carthage. A fumble on the offensive side that West Orange turned into a touchdown, then a fumble on the kickoff that they turned into a touchdown. So, I mean, Carthage absolutely dominated. 250th career win for Scott Surratt, 11-0 in state championship games. He sends Jed off back-to-back state championships, 31 wins in a row for the Carthage Bulldogs. Like, all the accolades came out in this game, and it was phenomenal to watch. And to your point, Jaron, about, yes, that's the first thing anyone says after Carthage wins. Oh, well, they recruit, so they blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. This Carthage team has been playing since Pee Wee. Like, these guys have been together since Pee Wee. Quebec, KJ Edwards, Jet Surratt, all those guys have been together since Pee Wee days. Sure, there may be a couple of kids that have moved in. Newsflash, there's a lot of school districts that have kids move in. It's not just Carthage. So
that doesn't mean you're going to win the state championship if you have a kid that moves in. It's not guaranteed.
Right, like it is a we talk about Martins Mill being a basketball factory. Carthage is the football factory. Like, that is where it's just different. Like, they know how to coach the game. They know how to play the game. They play the game with an edge and an attitude. Like, that game was chippy. West Orange and Carthage, it was a chippy ball game. There was not a lot of love lost between those two schools. But I think that's what happens with everyone that plays Carthage, because they're so tired of Carthage winning that they want to beat them, that it gets into their own head and they start making mistakes.
Carthage gets that every time they play. Everybody's coming in, and they have to. And Carthage themselves has to take that. They have to know everybody wants to beat us. Like, they're that school that everybody's tired of. Everyone wants to beat, and they still go out and do what they do.
And they're one of the best schools I know of at how they develop their middle school programs. Their 7th and 8th grade teams this year, the last couple of years, I mean, they're undefeated, right? And for the longest time, they had a gentleman by the name of Coach Morgan that was there. I think it was Morgan, and he came over with Surratt, and he's kind of been over that junior high program. Now they have a guy named Austin Hall that's taken over that now. That's been a long time coach under Surratt as well. They put a lot of effort in developing that junior high program. And it shows, which again shows that they're not just getting a bunch of floods in, they're developing these guys at a young age. And the freshman class of this year, I think, is a little down maybe, but they're going to be just fine.
Brett, to your point about the defense, I don't think it was that much adjustment. I think it was just them getting healthy. Like, Quebec missed those first 2 playoff games, and that's when they gave up the most points in the postseason. So I think it was just them. They finally got healthy at the right time, and you finally saw a full unit put together at the state championship game. Now, KJ did hurt his lower leg. I'm not sure if it was an ankle, a foot. I'm not sure what it was, but he was on crutches at the end of the game, accepting his MVP award and all that. So hope he's T's and P's to KJ. I hope he's okay. He's good. All right, fantastic. Well, I didn't even see it happen. I just saw him on crutches at the end of the game. I'm like, no.
They won. That winning makes an injured ankle feel a little bit better.
No, he's
swelling cuts in half when you have a championship.
Just a little tweak. No, he's fine. He's good.
He's got some off-season time, I believe. He's got a little time to heal up.
So. Nope, he's going to spring ball with A&M.
Yeah,
so I don't know if he has that much time to heal.
That's still plenty of time. Oh yeah, because A&M's already started spring ball. That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, I know another team that's been doing it a little bit longer.
No, we're still playing.
Oh yeah. The
Cheez-It Bowl.
That's all right.
Grass ball.
That doesn't matter. We already beat you guys, so sorry.
Yeah, look how that did.
Y'all beat
there's
both
plenty
teams
of
that lost.
plenty of room on the couch, fellas.
OU and A&M. You beat both of them, Brett.
Yeah.
Y'all still couldn't
They
get
couldn't play in the playoff. That should just put Texas in. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Couldn't even get in the ball in the end zone. What are you doing that?
No, it was this one. It was this one.
You don't even know your hand signals, Jaron. Come on.
No, didn't they lose to Florida State?
No, it was the Gators.
It was Florida.
You don't even know. See, you don't even keep up enough. You don't even know football. Look at that.
In the same conference, and he still didn't get it right.
You don't even know.
I know.
Come on.
Oh man.
Okay,
so it was the West.
It should be Jeremy that's ragging on his Hurricanes.
No kidding. Mike Haynes got the dub. You know, give it to the U, baby.
Yeah,
and we missed like 5 field goals because the wind.
Dude, that wind was crazy.
Oh, that first field goal was dead center, and about 2 seconds later, it was 8 yards to the right. I was like, "Wow."
Hey, I think A&M will be back though. They're bringing a lot. Marcel's coming back.
Good, yeah. That's the best thing. That's the best news I could hear.
Yeah.
They got Terry Bussey. They got KJ Edwards.
Baby.
They got Quee Beck.
Yeah,
one of my best friends said, he said, there's a moment where Marcel Reed looks like Lamar Jackson, and then the next moment he looks like he's throwing with the wrong hand.
As long as he's the quarterback, I'm fine. He's
game manager, baby. Game manager.
Yeah, no. So the West Orange start kicker was the one that kicked the backwards onside kick. It was late in the game after they had scored to get 21, and he kicked the spinner. I mean, I'm telling you, I've never seen one spin. It looked like one of those that thing it was like a boomerang. It went out and it came backwards farther than it went forward. It was weird.
Oh man!
And the coach just kind of shook his head and kind of laughed it off. And the kid came to the side. He just kind of patted him on the head like, "It's all right, buddy. It's just not been our night." One of those.
So the next one here on the list, guys, Smithson Valley, boy, were they impressive on defense. I mean, goodness, they put the clamps on Lone Star, 28-6. And forcing turnovers. I mean, I got to watch this game and just the way they play, man. I obviously they're from the San Antonio area, so we don't, watch them a whole lot. Just knowing that they were here last year, but they to me play just nasty defense. Like I don't want to play against them. They were super impressive in this one. I did get that one. Only 10 of us had Smithson Valley. I think 3 of us in this room were part of that 10. Jaron, you had Frisco Lone Star. That was the game that separated you and Mr. Diamond. It was for that silver medal, but I guess you lost on purpose because you wanted third the whole time.
Yeah, it was part of my strategery.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us what you saw then in this one. Smithson Valley got the win.
As far as Lone Star, again, when you're picking these games, and if you want to try, no, for real, like you want to try and separate yourself, right? Like pick a flyer that no one else is going to pick, and so I thought Frisco Lone Star had 2 big wins.
Hey, Jaron, can I tell you a hint? If you're going to pick a flyer, 38 people picked that flyer out of the 48, so that's not a flyer. That's a favorite pick. Oh,
that 38 people picked Lone Star.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the deal. Part of our issue is seriously though, we don't have. It's not really a statewide poll. Most people are more familiar with Frisco Lone Star, we're an East Texas network, and most people watch our East Texas stuff. Right? You can look across our picks. Most of our picks skew East Texas or DFW. It's just how it is. Anyways, but Frisco Lone Star had the big wins over Highland Park and Aledo, right? Those are 2 juggernaut giants. And so you're riding into what I consider a home game, right down the road from you, right? With 2 big wins. It's going to be the first state title for any Frisco ISD team. And so I just went with thought maybe they were riding high a little bit, but Smithson Valley, been there before. Just a good program all the way around. They won that award that they did for overall athletic performance last year, I think, across the whole board. And so it's just a really good program, really good school down there. And they just, like I said, they put on the clinic defensively for sure.
Jeremy, what did you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was Tepper that said it, but he said, Smithson Valley drags you into the deep waters and they see if you can swim with them. And man, they did. I mean, they made that Frisco team wanted to score quick, go fast, right? Like that was their MO, was speed. And man, Smithson Valley just gave them no chance to get their track shoes on. Like it was a dogfight from the beginning. I mean, it was muddy in the trenches, right? It was all those things that they just looked like they were the bully on the block, taking the new kid, that just moved into, out to recess and showing them how things were done, right? Like it just looked like one of those things. And they did. But yeah, I thought Lone Star would put up a good fight after knocking off Aledo the week before. And but man, Smithson, and again, I picked Smithson Valley, but man, they did. They looked every bit the part of a champion. And I mean, it was a late score, for Frisco in there. I mean, it just looked like it was all Smithson Valley all the way. I mean, they had their way with them. They were just kind of toying with Lone Star there, and Lone Star is a good program, and and they even said Smithson Valley's, they don't even have their own town, they're just a school. They were kind of saying the school has become a community for them, right? Like they're not even in their own little town. It's and so the coaches were talking about how the school itself has really become a community. And that's really what helps them play the way they do it and work together the way those kids do.
Yeah, I just think it was an impressive showing for Smithson Valley. KO, did you get to see any of this game?
I was packing up our stuff and trying to get the heck on out up there while that game was going on. But I did see the score, obviously, and see the stats and everything. And yeah, Smithson Valley just put on a defensive clinic. It was. And I believe, is that Coach Larry Hill? I believe is their coach.
Coach Hill.
Yeah, apparently he is known for this type of thing. He is known for just putting on defensive clinics. I saw Step put out a tweet that said Coach Hill needs to do a 3-hour session on this game alone at the coaching clinic next season, because just that's how masterful it was. So I didn't get to physically see it, all of it, but just hearing everybody talk about it, just one of the best defensive performances that we've seen. And we thought, the defensive performance by Carthage, defensive performance by Kilgore, Stephenville, teams like that. But I think Smithson Valley may have had the defensive performance of the weekend. So shout out to them going back to back for the Rangers. That game had to be the most confusing one to call too. Teams with similar color schemes. They're both the Rangers. Yeah. That is a broadcaster's nightmare, but they got through it. So congrats to them.
Hey, and the big factor in this one was the quarterback, Trey Wright. He got hurt in this game. Had to bring out John Madden. No, not the John Madden that they called games, but it was John Madden.
I was gonna have a lot more questions if that was the other John Madden.
So no, I thought that was funny when they brought him out. I was like, what? His name's John Madden. Okay, well,
that guy has no chance, right?
But that's I think they made a list at the beginning of the year of best football names, and he was on that list, that top whatever football names. So but yeah, I mean, in Wright returned, but you could tell he wasn't right, no pun intended. He just wasn't himself, and that's what Smithson Valley does, man. They just make you work so hard to get anything going, and it was kind of those, I don't say boring games, but they make it so ugly, and then they were able to score as well. So shout out to them, another state champion repeater.
And we talk about just the legend of Scott Surratt, and for sure he is. But Coach Hill, what you're talking about, KO, during the past 28 years, they've been in the playoffs 28 of 29. 293 to 70 win-loss record, 23 area final, he's been a 5 state championship games, 6 now. 8 state semifinals, 12 quarterfinals, 14 regional finals, 23 area finals, 29 by district rounds. Overall career record of 325 and 102. So not shabby, right? For as far as just legendary coaches. And so we give Coach,
right, I guess.
rightfully so, we give Coach Surratt, being over here in East Texas, his accolades. But Coach Hill over at Smithson Valley has done a pretty darn good job himself.
Another team that's done pretty well this year finished off their state championship as Sock beats Richmond Randall 35-19, and another win for Coach Todd and that group. I mean, I think we all probably had Sock in this one. Just a great performance from them. I got to see a little bit of this game as we were kind of keeping an eyeball on it, and they got off to a good start and didn't let up as they had 21 first quarter points and kind of cruised on to the victory. A little surprised that I thought maybe that Richmond Randall might give them a little bit more of a game. I thought Sock was the better team just because of the competition level that they play, man. They play in that tough district already, and then they challenge themselves. They're not in the same district. Excuse me. They challenge themselves in pre-district. They play a tough district schedule. I mean, a tough pre-district schedule. They've got I think they play Duncanville and DeSoto, I believe. They also played Longview, right?
They played Galena Park too, didn't they?
North Shore, yeah.
Galena Park, yeah.
I mean, and they still went 15-1. I mean, that shows they're pretty good. And so I'm not surprised there. Jaron, you got a smirk on your face like you're confused. Are you?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I just thought, with Richmond Randall, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. They got Sock last year. That wasn't going to happen again. I mean,
I think Sock might have had this game circled, right? You think
that's the problem? They got them last year, and that's what ended up this BTA this year. That's going back to last year is why this year ended up the way it did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, give it to Randall. I mean, there's still 2021 was their first season, so to make it to AT&T 2 times in your first 4 or 5 years of existence, that's pretty awesome. But Sock was not Coach Shaw. They was not going to let that happen, and came out and flexed a little bit. So
yeah, not surprised at all. Jeremy, any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, the game wasn't really even as close as the score was. I mean, it just looked like you and I were kind of watching as we were broadcasting the tournament off and on, and it was like every play there were 4 and 5 gold helmets, right? I mean, it just looked like
those jerseys and the helmets, though.
Oh man,
Mecca jerseys with the gold helmet. Oof, man.
Yeah, it was solid, but I mean, it just looked like that Richmond was just getting swallowed up play after play, and so it was a dominant performance by Sock, and I mean, I had them in the pick'em, and rightfully so because they looked every bit the champion.
Let's see. Let's move up to 6A. Duncanville North Shore, a pretty solid game, 0-0 at halftime. No one could get in the end zone there in that game either until the third quarter, and Duncanville tried to come back there in the fourth, just didn't have enough time. But a great ball game here. I didn't get to see a ton of this game due to us broadcasting. We were kind of keeping our eye on it, but shout out to North Shore. I just thought Duncanville would be able to even that up, but North Shore got one for Houston. Taryn, did you get to see any of this?
A little bit. I think the story around this game is what is Coach Samples going to do? What a storied career. And, you hear there's rumors of, is this it? It's hard to think of a guy like that going out on a state championship loss, right? But, Duncanville kept fighting. North Shore's so good. And, I think this game for me is just about just the career of Coach Samples and just what he's done. Again, for talking about legendary coaches, I mean, most of the coaches that make it this far, you got to be pretty good at what you do. So
he's got a pretty good tree of guys that have come out from his staff too.
Yeah, for sure. His son being one of them, right? Who's up in Oregon, I think, right? But anyways, so yeah, I mean, wish Duncanville could have pulled it out. That's who I picked. But kudos to North Shore, the very storied program, obviously. And so, yeah.
KO?
I think I said it last week that I'm not looking forward to this one because I'm tired of seeing the same two teams, but it ended up being one of the best games of the weekend. You know, with the most attendance, nearly 40,000 people there to watch this one. So I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. But no, I think Duncanville, I would have liked to see Duncanville kick the field goal there late in that ball game to send it to at least try and send it to overtime. I wasn't crazy about the going for it on 4th and 5 late in the ball game, but you're in the state championship game. Coach Samples has forgotten more football than I know, so who am I to question what he's doing? But I would have liked to see it just felt like to me at that point in the game, Duncanville kind of had the momentum, and I get, okay, if you have the momentum, then go for it on 4th down. But I think 4th and 5 was just a little too long with the way that North Shore's defense was playing. So I think I would have preferred to see a field goal attempt to at least try and get that game into overtime. But another instant classic between Duncanville and Galena Park North Shore. And congratulations to North Shore. And I believe that was Coach Gatson, Willie Gatson. Is that his name? I can't remember his name. But either way, I believe that was his first title at North Shore because I think the previous coach won the other ones, and then Duncanville had won the last 2 against North Shore. So I believe that was his first state championship as the head coach. So either way, congratulations to North Shore and
Willie Gaston. Yes, you're correct.
Man, I am pulling them out. But anyway, congrats to North Shore, and I'm sure we'll see these teams deep into the playoffs again next year.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think when I first tuned in, I was having a hard time figuring out which team was Duncanville, which team was North Shore, because they both kind of, a lot of times they both wear red. And so at first I was trying to figure out, I'm like trying to look at the helmets and, and then we were trying to do a game broadcast at the same time. And so, man, it was a bruiser battle. Like it just looked like two heavyweights just sitting in the center of the ring and just trading shots. And really a defensive battle. I mean, it's obviously more exciting to see offense, right, and a lot of scoring, but it's just so hard to slow teams down like that. And both teams have scored a bunch this year. It wasn't like both teams were, normally only scoring a couple times a game. And so I think it says a lot about both defenses that they were able to hold, the other offense that was fairly prolific down. And so hats off to North Shore on pulling out the win. And again, I'm with UKO. I think, give me, if that's a 4th and 2, a 4th and 3, like I've got zero problem going for that. But man, 5 is just kind of on that line, like, ooh, I don't know, and so especially in a game like that when it's so tight and every single point matters, where you're probably not going to get another shot at it. Like I think you probably take the field goal, but second guessing is always easier from the top, right?
Yeah. Game 10 closed out the football season. DeSoto says we are not done. We are a dynasty, as it was put. Coach Claude Mathis and the DeSoto Eagles, man, they put on a masterpiece clinic last night. I had to tune in and watch that game, and it was
a butt whooping.
Yes, it was a butt whooping. The score was not indicative of how bad a butt whooping it was.
It was a butt whooping.
DeSoto was doing whatever they wanted. Sherrod Baker, 138 yards on 24 carries, 2 touchdowns, and he had the flu last week. Didn't practice all week. Coach said he was about 75%. So 75% you got of him. Still was able to produce that kind of yardage. Of course, Ethan Feaster, the USC commit, had 10 catches for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was the offensive MVP. When he touched the ball, it's just he's that guy. Like it was a lot of yards after catch was most of his yardage. I think 130, 140 yards of his were after the catch. Like he's that guy. If he touches the ball, good luck catching him in space. And so just a great performance on both sides of the ball. I mean, shout out to CE King. They didn't quit. They kept trying to fight back. That interception return for a touchdown there at the end of that first half really just kind of took the air out of their sails. And so a big win for DeSoto, and I think they're still pretty good. KO, how's our friend Diggs feeling today? You think?
I don't know. I didn't get to hear DeSoto's press conference. So I don't know if Coach Mathis had another message for Diggs or not. But hey, congrats to DeSoto, man. I think they are obviously they're the Green Eagles, so we love that. These helmets almost look identical to DeSoto's helmet, so we love that. But yeah, I think DeSoto is a dynasty. They're one of those great teams up in that area, not just in that area, in the state of Texas. Coach Mathis does a fantastic job. The athleticism, the speed that DeSoto has was just unreal, man. And C.E. King, I think there was the kick returner. He's got 3 names. They call him by initials. I don't know his name, but I believe he had a kick return for a touchdown. It was like 100 yards or 90-something yards. Then you had a 94-yard pick 6 by DeSoto. Like the talent on the field was out of this world. So happy for DeSoto, happy for Coach Mathis, and obviously anytime a Green Eagle wins, I'm happy.
All right. Jeremy?
Now, I'm not happy when Green Eagles normally win, but I'll make an exception in this case. No, I think the other cool thing was they made it a comment that Coach Mathis is the first African-American coach to have 3 state titles. And
I thought that was Coach Todd with Sock, but
was it Todd with Sock? I thought it was Mathis. Okay, so I was wrong. Okay, sorry about that. I thought it said Mathis for some reason. I caught part of the clip and I thought they were talking about DeSoto, but right, it was Sock. But either way, so hats off to Coach. And again, I mean, Coach Mathis. I mean, they were dominant. I mean, geez, yeah, it was. I don't know. It was like watching a video game. Like it was watching old school Tecmo Bowl when you had like Joe Montana to Jerry Rice. Like anything you threw was going to go. And I mean,
of course it would be 49er. What about Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin?
They were okay in that one, but no, just one of those crazy ones where it was like, I mean, they just threw the ball anywhere near Feaster, and it was like, I'll take that, thank you, and he was gone. I mean, he was just all over the place. Like it just looked like a cheat code. Kind of that early Tyreek Hill with Patrick Mahomes kind of thing, where it was like he was going to win every catch, and then when he got the ball in his hands, he was going to go wherever he wanted to go. And USC is getting a dog.
The scary thing is, they could move down in the next realignment. Yeah. Like there's been rumors that they are going to stay down. This could be their last 6A. Could you imagine them playing in 5A? Ooh.
Well, let's do some research. Stand by.
Okay, KO's gonna do some research. Jaron, what do you think here?
So you know me, I gotta go for it, or I gotta give the underdogs some credit here. So C.E. King, first time they've ever been, right? So I think they're going to be around this day. So their head coach, Corey Laxton, took over the first part of 2025. He was the assistant coach and coordinator at North Shore. So he's pretty good at what he does. And so and to take this team to the state finals, his first year as head coach there, and I think his first year as head coach, period. But we'll see if they return. The problem is, again, especially at 6A ball, you're going to run into buzzsaws, every time, right? And so even if DeSoto does go down, I mean, there's another one waiting to step in their spot. So
Alito's moving up to 6A. I don't know if y'all saw that. They're going up to 6A Division 2. DeSoto is dropping down to 5A Division 1. So Lufkin, Tyler High, they will get to play. I actually saw a mock alignment, I think now that I remember it, that had DeSoto and Tyler High in the same district. So that would be fun.
Dude.
I think Cedar Hill was in there too. Yeah, it's going to be a fun district if that's what happens.
Fun is depends on your perspective.
Fun for
now, would
fans
that be
to watch.
Now Forney would be in that district too, then, right?
I think Forney's 6A.
Yeah.
Well, North Forney, I thought. Okay.
North Forney's also 6A.
They're all.
Yeah, I knew North was, but
it's all blowing up there.
Both Forneys, both Rockwalls, and then Royce City were in there with Legacy and Longview.
Okay.
Poor Legacy.
Well, that's all the games for state to talk about, and I got a few more topics to talk about here for this show, since we don't have any games to talk about next week because sadly there's no more football for the year. We're gonna talk about surprises for this year, whether it be a team that you thought maybe was going to do well and they didn't, or a team that kind of came out of nowhere and had a good season. I'm going to start with I know this sounds weird to say a surprise, but of course the Mount Enterprise Wildcats. We all knew how good Kagan Ash was, but I think the surprise was the revamped offense, the way they played, and for them to make a run all the way to the state semifinals was something we probably didn't predict in the preseason. I think that, they kind of come out of nowhere, and not many people were talking about Ash at the beginning of the year and the Mount Enterprise Wildcats. They were talking about the running back from Ozona. Ash wasn't getting any really discussion statewide until they started making this run. And I really think it was just their style was unique. Like, let's outscore the opponent. Like we talk about all the time, defense, but they changed the way that people thought. And honestly, I was convinced they thought they could do it that way. Like, they finally hit a wall against Shiner. But shout out to Mount Enterprise, Coach Ponder, and that football team for just an incredible season. I think for me, that's my biggest surprise as far as, that they did well. Let's go to you first, Jeremy. What's your surprise team this year that maybe you thought was maybe not going to be a very good team, but they ended up being a good team, or a team that we thought was going to do well and maybe they didn't live up to expectations?
I'm gonna go on the positive side. I think Gladewater. What Gladewater was able to do under Coach Lewis in year one, not that they were going to be a bad team. I don't think that was the thought, but I don't think anybody saw the record that they had. And again, it could very easily have been an undefeated regular season, barring a couple of weird mishaps. And, I think, looking back at that playoff game against Grandview, they were missing their top two receivers. Aubrey Floyd didn't play. Balcorta didn't play in that game. And I think they were maybe even missing one more. They had a couple of guys that were playing receiver that had been on they were on the sideline most of every game that we saw them play. And so I think for them to do what they did, and again, they had a chance. They were up 14 against Grandview, and I think a couple of late first half mistakes cost them that game. And so I think for me, that was my surprise, just how seamlessly they seemed to kind of slide in underneath Coach Lewis and take off and do really well. I was super impressed, and I'm excited to see what next year looks like for the Gladewater Bears.
Kale, what about you?
I'm going to go with the Athens Hornets. I think Athens was a good surprise this year. Obviously going toe-to-toe with Carthage in Carthage, the state champs, back-to-back state champs. They were 5 points away from beating that Carthage team. And then the run that they made in the playoffs, they won some close ones, had to battle against Sunnyvale, had to battle against Gilmer just to get to that point to have a rematch with Carthage. Obviously didn't turn out the way they wanted it to in the regional final, but I think for Coach Harrell and the Athens Hornets to get back to that stage where they hadn't been in 15 years, I think was a cool moment for Athens and for Coach Harrell. So I think that was the surprise of the year for me.
Jaron?
Well, I'll be Miss Negative Nancy here, but I think
wow, you're going to be negative? Man,
I know.
Surprised everyone.
I was really surprised about Jefferson in the Bayou Bullies, right? I know KO and I both had them going pretty far. I just really, really enjoyed Coach Taylor and what he's doing. So for them to have the season that they had really just surprised me. I think they'll be back. Now, there was a chance they were going to move down. I'm not sure if it looks
they
like
are.
Yeah,
they did. 382.
That's the bright and shining moment for them is they get to slide down and be in Division II and 3A.
And then, but I do want to give a positive, and that's to the Troop Tigers. I don't think any of us saw them making the run like they did, and just what a great performance by those young men, and really just brought a lot of excitement to that community. So shout out to those guys.
I'm going to give my disappointment of the year, and it's going to be to my Chapel Hill Bulldogs. They've obviously been spoiled over the last 4 or 5 years and made nice runs, but losing in the first round was not on my bingo card for the Bulldogs starting the season. And I don't think anybody in the community or the coaches would have thought that was going to be the case. I think it was a tough year. They struggle with some things. They tend to make too many mistakes and put themselves in bad spots throughout the year. I definitely think they'll bounce back, but just an overall disappointment. I mean, again, you get spoiled with it, and they've made so many runs in the playoffs over the last 4 or 5 years, and to lose in round one to me was a little bit shocking, even though they had to travel, down to the Houston area to play that first round game. I still thought they'd come out on top. So a little disappointing there. Anybody else got any disappointments?
I was disappointed with Westwood because obviously I picked Westwood Jefferson as my state title game, and that fell completely flat. But I was disappointed with Westwood. I know injuries had a lot to do with how they performed this year, but when you have a talent like Kavian Bryant, and you have his younger brother Caden on the team, you still got Case and Dial over there. You still got Chris Carter, David Russell. I know he got hurt. That's one of the injuries, but I think the outside noise caught up to Westwood, honestly. But I think they're kind of a disappointment for me this year because I did expect them to kind of build on what they did last year. No Grayson Rigdon at Columbus that you had to worry about. So I thought maybe this was their chance to kind of make that run, and they didn't.
Jeremy, you got anybody?
It's going to be a little bit weird, but I'm going to preface it. I don't think the team was a disappointment. I think where they ended up was a disappointment. I'm going to go with Frankston. And only because it was an extremely senior laden team. Like I think you and I went into the game there, and there were probably 12 to 13 young men on that fence line of seniors. And for them to go out in the second round to me was a shock. And again, that's why I'm prefacing, like, I'm not disappointed in them. I'm just shocked they went out so early to De Leon, who ended up getting beat by Axtell in the next round. And so, like, just one of those things. I don't know. We talked about it when it happened. Like, I didn't get to watch the game, so I'm not going to pretend like I saw it. But I did not see anything like that coming. And so I think that's the disappointment for a senior laden group that looked like they had kind of the world by the tail watching them play in the regular season. To lose like that in the second round, I think was a shock to me. So maybe disappointment's not the right word, but definitely a surprise into that. And then I think if I went another route, I would say probably Gilmer on the disappointing end a little bit. Just I think the slow start, and again they played a really tough non-conference, but I think you could kind of see it playing Athens. Like I think just the season got to him a little bit, and trying to figure out some identity, I think was a little bit of a disappointment for them. It took them too long to figure out who they were, and I think by the time they did, it was just too little too late to really build momentum. So I think if I had to pick, those would be the two I would say.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else before you go to the next topic? Good. All right. Teams to watch in 2026, guys. Teams that you thought that maybe they've got some guys coming back. You think that they're, and we can't take the obvious. I mean, obviously Carthage. I mean, you could say that with them any year. To me, a team to watch is one of our schools. The Carlisle Indians in 2026 is a team that I think is going to be important to watch. Went to the third round this year after going 1-9 last year. Coach Baker returning. They've got a solid 2B senior group coming back. It's a junior class right now. And so I think with Ibarra, with Elvis Hernandez, and that group, they've got a lot of guys coming back, and an extra year under Coach Baker, which obviously has proven playoff success. And they went to the third round this year. I don't think any of us probably preseason thought they were going to play into the third round, and ended up playing a tough Hamilton team who ended up winning the state championship, but played them tough most of that game. And we all talked about how big and how much size they had. And so Carlisle was able to hang with them for a good portion of that game. So that's a team that I'm watching for. Another team to watch out for, I think, is the Overton Mustangs. I think they're a team that you could see take a step back up in their district. You obviously graduate Ash out of Mount Enterprise. Lovelady's moving to a different division. So Overton could be a team to watch. Jaron, who you got? You're shaking your head there. You've got somebody. Who's your team to watch?
Well, so Carlisle was going to be my first one. You took him from me. I definitely think. I mean, they're losing, some of the Garzas, but
they got plenty of Garzas.
They got plenty of Garzas to go around. But yeah, so I am excited for them. Overton, yeah, I mean, because I was trying to think through. Obviously, they're losing Holloman. They'll have Gabe Miller back, and so they were pretty senior heavy, particularly on the line. And so we'll see. I think you're right as far as that the district changes will be in their favor. I'm just curious to see kind of how they reload, in particular in those skill positions and on the line. So I'm an Overton fan. How much
you're not in your green today. You're
not in my green today. But another team, and this is one that KO can speak more to, but I'm excited to see what Lindale does again next season. I think they surprised some people this season. Their defense was so good. I don't know as much about who they've got coming back, how that's going to stack up. But, I was really excited to see them have a good year.
Well, and their biggest win in the offseason was not moving up classifications, I think.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. But again, so I'm anxious to see how they – I think they cemented themselves saying, hey, you know what, we know this is a tough district, but we're here to play. We're not just the blind hog that finds one every now and then. We're going to be consistently a competitor in this district. So,
KO?
I was going to say the Lindale begin with, obviously, being a homer. But I do think I am excited to see what Lindale can do next year. And to your point, Darren, I'm not 100% sure who they have coming back, but I do know that the JV team did really well last year, and the freshman squad had a good year last year. So they have good talent coming up through the ranks. You're losing some studs on defense. Caleb Walker, to be specific, that's going to the University of Houston off that defensive front. But I really like what Lindale has going on, so I'm going to obviously keep an eye on them. But I think some other schools, I'm excited to see what Jefferson can do because they are dropping down to 3A Division II. I'm not sure it's too much easier when you got Newton and Troop and ARP and teams like that you got to go through. But maybe they'll be a little more closer in school size to these schools and maybe can compete a little more in those. But I'm excited to see what Jefferson can do, excited to see what Lindale can do. I'm curious to see how Lovelady's going to respond because they are a half kid from being 2A Division II. Like they are at 176 and the cutoff is 175.5. So they are literally a half kid in 2A Division I. So they will be the smallest school in the state of Texas in that division. We know how gritty Lovelady is. We know what type of team they are. I'm curious and interested to see how that's going to look going into next year. But I think those are a couple that off the top of my head. I like y'all's too. Carlisle, I'm interested in. I think they have something really good going on. Overton, I'm excited to see what they can do kind of now with Kagan Ash out of the way and Lovelady out of the way as well. So interested in those teams that y'all mentioned as well.
Hey, and to your point on Lovelady, I mean, more than likely they'll probably slide into that Joaquin district, right? I mean,
you would think.
Oh, and so, dude,
you would think
that's nasty, dude. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously there's going to be there'll be a disadvantage just being small, but I mean, there's such a talented group. Coach Kirkhoff does a great job. So, man, that district would be pretty nasty.
Somebody's got to explain to me though. Like I saw one of the breakdowns was like 0.9. Like I guess that's just to delineate because there was a team right on each side of the number, I guess. But like,
I think so. I think because the 0.9, I think instead of so they can start the next number at 180.
But it just seems weird to put like 175.5. Like, how do you count a half a kid? Like he only shows up for athletics, or
I don't know this for sure. I've heard this before. I don't know if this is real or not. Somebody at UIL can let us know. But I think the half kid is a homeschool kid. I think that's where the halves come in at.
So let's just send a kid home. You homeschool for a few days while we get this number under, and then
I think you just play athletic. For me, I think a team I'm watching again, and not that they're a shocker, but I think Troop. They're pretty young overall. Their quarterback's coming back. Wells is back. Both the Hawley brothers are back. I kind of ran through the roster. I think they had 9 maybe seniors, and they're going to lose some guys for sure, but their skill guys are all juniors and sophomores, right? They'll be seniors next year, so they'll have a junior quarterback, a junior receiver, a senior running back. So
it's going to be
not
interesting.
that that's a huge.
It's going to be interesting to see where Jefferson slides in district wise.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're probably going to slide in with Grand Saline, Edgewood up there in that district. So and just by geographical, but that will be interesting to kind of, because will it affect any of the districts, the way they are currently constructed? I think because they'll have to find a spot for them somewhere, and will that bump anybody else somewhere different? So that's going to be interesting.
Troops my one, and then I'm interested to see what Gladewater does. They're going to lose some pieces, I know, to graduation, but I think giving Coach Lewis his second year under the helm and to kind of see what they do there, I think that's another team I'm excited about. And then one we talked a little bit about is Henderson. Can Henderson take the next step, right? Like they showed some flashes of it this year under Coach Meeks. Can they get those things together? And I think that's another team that could make a statement next season and push themselves into a spot.
Well, and that's going to be another interesting district question too, because with all those teams now in 4A Division I, are they going to end up splitting that somehow? And is it going to be overloaded one way, like with all the stronger teams in one district and a little weaker district, or it's going to be interesting how it's going to all line up there. Jaron, go ahead. You had something.
Well, I was saying I think Jefferson's probably going to end up in that Dangerfield, Hooks, Queen City, Redwater, that district, and so that'll
Jefferson in the same district. A lot of athletes on the field there,
and DCAB and that whole group. So that'll be kind of a fun D2 district to keep an eye on for sure. To your point, though, Brett, I am interested. There was we kind of thought that Henderson may slide down to D2. They didn't. But what are they going to do with that district, right? Is it going to be more of a north-south thing? Was in center, is center going to drop out and they'll keep more north? You got Bullard coming over there, so yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how they're going to break that up. I do know that either way, Carthage is still going to have a hard time finding non-district games. So
they'll be going across the border and to wherever. Maybe they can go play. Was it Del Mata? What's that? The Mata? Was it? What's the California?
Mater Day.
Yeah, and go there. Maybe they can.
I think they should play a Florida school to shut Warren Sapp up. Give me some of that.
Where's Warren Sapp from? Isn't he from Texas?
Well,
not if he's talking crap.
I think. Well, I mean, he went to school and he was a.
He was born in Orlando. Yeah, we definitely need to play a team from Orlando. Send them over to Carthage, Texas, and let the 11-time state champs put a whooping on them.
That's right. Don't. Hey, we don't neglect the toe ring. Okay, we acknowledge the toe ring.
Man, what a season though, guys! This has been a whirlwind. I can't believe we're at the final show here already. We just kind of talked about it. Jeremy, your first year in football season. Give us your overall thoughts of the season.
Man, it was a blast. I think I think I'm tired after broadcasting 22 games, but but it was 100% worth it, right? I mean, just to get to see the quality of play across this level. And again, I was a guy that spent a lot of time in the 6A realm and again around 5A upper end with being from being at Legacy or at Hubbard, and so not as familiar with the obvious, other than the obvious ones, but not as familiar with the small school. It was fun to get to be a part of that this year and really tune in and join in. And so I'm pumped for what's to come and for it to look even bigger and better next year and kind of looking forward to see what's coming down the pipe. So.
Well, and that's one thing we want to thank. We want to reach in and thank you to all of you for tuning in each and every week. We have fun doing this, and we'd probably do it whether anybody watched or not. But it's been cool. We've had some stories where, I know Kyle has had people recognize him at games, and even though he works at that big KLTV station, they recognize him from this show. So it's cool to know that people are watching, and we get to talk to some of those people when we're at the different games. And thanks to all the teams and coaches and communities for letting us cover your teams. Like we're kind of not, we're not that group that's going to be like following one team all the time. Like we kind of bounce around and are able to cover like all of East Texas. So we thanks for the accommodations, for letting us come and cover their programs. It's been we've had great hospitality everywhere we went this year, and so we appreciate those schools and just letting us showcase what you guys have in your community and your programs, and we've really appreciate that. And also, if we weren't able to make it out to your school and you want us there next year, reach out to us, via the website, or you can reach out to me directly. My email address is BRETSWINNEY at NETSN.live, or you can reach out to our sales email. We'll be making some social media posts about that as time goes, or even we have a Facebook page. You can message that. If you want us out there, we'd love to cover you. All it takes is a sponsorship where we can be able to cover cost of getting guys out there, but we'd love to expand our coverage. So if you're a school and you want NETSN to cover you, please reach out to us and let us know. Jaron, what'd you think about this season, man? Pretty good one.
Yeah, for one, just network wise, I mean, we went from 4 or 5 crews to 7 crews, this year. Most weeks having at least 10, 11 games was just incredible. I mean, I know when I started just a little over a year ago, we had 3,300 subscribers. Now it's what? I mean, where are we at? I mean,
we just crossed 9,300 subscribers.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just insane. And to your point, the only way that we grow is with sponsorship and advertisement help. So we need that. But I'm excited because we got some new crew members that have kind of came in through the football season and coming in the basketball season. So I think our potential for expansion to have even more crews out next year for football season is great. I obviously didn't get to do any playoff games, just some personal things going on, but I'm glad that we had such a great reach through playoffs. I think that's always really good. And this year, probably as in every year, but this year it made me fall more in love with the small schools. I don't know. We just continue to see some just really great efforts from our small schools in our area. And those communities are just so awesome. And they really embrace us and are thankful for us. And so, I love when we get to cover the 4As and the 5As, and it's always fun. But these 2As and 3A schools, and they're my bread and butter, at least, and I really enjoy getting to know those communities and those coaches. And I had several emails throughout the season from coaches from all over our area in the 2A, 3A saying, "Hey, thanks for what you guys do for the small schools." So I was really happy about that, and because those kids work hard too, and I was glad to be able to bring some great small school football on our channel this year.
KO?
Well, I don't get to hang out with y'all as much during football season because I'm doing my other gig. But I can say for a fact, to your point, like there has been multiple times where I've been noticed and they're like, "Hey, I watch y'all's podcast every Tuesday. I watch the show every Tuesday, blah, blah, blah." So there are people watching, even when we think we're just talking to ourselves, just 4 guys having a good time. There are people watching and they do care. But I think it's awesome, man. I think it's been a cool experience to meet some of the viewers out in the public and have that face-to-face interaction with them so they can kind of see us off the screen as well. And just there was multiple games that I was at that NETSN was at, whether it was you, Brett, and Jeremy or Jaron, whoever it was. And every time we grab highlights because we've used NETSN highlights on KOTV before and KTRE, anytime we grab them, like people will always say, like, "Man, that's a good live stream. That's quality live stream." And I think that's the biggest compliment we can get as a company is the quality of the live stream, because there are so many live streams now. Like back in the day, that it was a new thing. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. Now everybody that has a phone is a live streamer, right? But I think that what sets us apart is the quality. Like you have commentators that know the game, know the kids, and know what they're talking about. They're not just talking out of their butt. You have good quality production where you actually can see what's going on in the game. The camera follows the action. Like you highlight the bands at halftime. You let the bands get. So I think it's a good quality production, and we're only getting better. We're not where we want to be, right? Like, we're continuing to improve and continuing to get better. But
if you're satisfied with where you are, you're never going to get better. So that's what we always want to see. And that's what we try to tell everybody. Reach out to us and let us know if there's something that we didn't do well or you think we can do better. We always are up for the criticisms, and also if there's something, man, I love what y'all do, give us the compliment. We love that too, because we've got a lot of guys here, and everybody has their own full-time gig. We do this. None of us are working full-time doing our broadcasting stuff. And so, getting those kind of compliments, letting us know like that time that we are sacrificing to go out to cover, those schools and those programs, people like it and notice it and like what we do. It just makes it that much better. I love when I'm able to share that with the rest of the guys. It's a cool thing to be able to say, hey, I got this compliment from this parent that got so-and-so got to watch the game. They love what we do. Like, those kind of things make it worth it. Right. I mean,
and you and I, for instance, we were at the tournament this weekend, and we ran into a lady from Canton, right? She was behind us, and her husband was from South Africa. And so we just told her a little bit about what we were doing with the game. And they had finished their game and were leaving. And she came back over to show us a screenshot that her father-in-law had sent her from South Africa, tuned in to NETSN watching the game. And he was like, so thankful that this option is available. Tell those guys thanks, right? Like, and again, she didn't have to go out of her way to do that. And we've all had athletes that have gone out of their way, leaving a gym, and kid comes jogging back in and says, thank you for coming. Or, I think that's why we do it, right? It's for those opportunities to let families connect in a way that wouldn't be possible. And, you just have to, you might get a little clip on somebody's phone trying to track their kid running down the sideline, but we're really able to at least provide the full game, and if not, just clips from that. So,
and what I was going to say is that like Kagan Ash, for example, that will forever live on YouTube. Like, you can go back and watch that whenever. Like, those performances, you can go see the 9-touchdown performance against Overton that he had. That's free on YouTube. And that's the other thing. All this is free. Like, you don't have to pay for any of all those playoff brackets, these shows, all these live streams, all these games. It's absolutely free, but it would not be possible without the great sponsors and constantly looking for more. So yeah, like everybody else has said, if you want your name attached to this product, reach out to us, any one of us, and we can get you to the right person to get you set up and part of the broadcast, because we want to show love to the people that show love back to us. So the more sponsors we can get, the more mentions we can give you, and the more teams we can cover and athletes that we can cover. So I think it's only going up and to the right. I think we're up and to the right here.
Yeah, and we had someone reach out on the socials 2 days ago, Brett, someone from Mount E that just thanked us for covering them all season, and again, that's a school that wasn't going to get a ton of coverage, but we were able to be there. And now, to your point, KO, some record-breaking moments were captured and going to be able to be viewed for a long time. And no rest for the weary, right? We've had 20 basketball games on the network the past 3 days, and so it's we're hopping right from the pot to the frying pan.
And some great schools we're getting the privilege to cover. I mean, we're official broadcaster group for both Martin's Mill teams, both ranked in the state. The Tyler Heat, successful homeschool program here in Tyler. You've got the White House Wildcats. The girls are ranked in the top 10 of the state right now. I think they're undefeated at that. Both Brook Hill programs are ranked in the top 10 of their classifications. The fact that we're able to cover those, and if you want us to cover your school, reach out. We said that we are trying to cover as many schools as we can, but it's with those great sponsorships that we're able to do these schools.
And most broadcast groups don't start basketball broadcasts until at least district, right? So we've kind of went right in, and because of that, we're getting to see some marquee matchups, which has been awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, if you don't start covering early, you miss all the good matchups. Now, there's some good district matchups, I'm sure, but there's also some more lopsided ones. But those preseason ones, man, we've gotten to see Martins Mill, both programs take on Tyler Legacy. The girls took on Longview. I mean, we've gotten to see some of these marquee matchups, and it's been a lot of fun. And then, of course, some of our schools playing each other, so we got to get both schools covered by doing that. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, we're already into basketball season. We've been there for several weeks. We've kind of been juggling both. And then, of course, when basketball season and baseball softball season, it does allow a certain Mr. Red Zone OT to join us and do some games. And Kyle's already done a few games this year and looking forward to doing some more. I'm sure, Kyle, it's like a different season for you. You get to slide over and put that headset back on and get back to doing what, not that you don't love your full-time job. I know you do because you do a great job with it, but it does allow you to get back on that headset and your first love of broadcast.
I'll be honest with you. If I could broadcast for a living, I would. Like if that was I'll be even more transparent. If I never had to leave the radio station, if I could have made enough money to live and work at the radio station, I would have never left the radio station. Like I love calling games that much, but unfortunately bills have to be paid. So couldn't do that. But I am thankful that I'm able to get to the opportunity to hop on the headset a couple of times and call some good matchups. Like I've called one, the Martinsville Legacy. It didn't go well for Martinsville, but Legacy looked good, right? Like I got to see some good teams, and I think I got a Martinsville game coming up, a doubleheader, I believe, against LaPointe, maybe on next Friday. So yeah. So I mean, I'm excited to hop back in there and see some basketball, and then follow these teams to San Antonio, because I'm sure we'll have some East Texas teams represented down in San Antonio.
Yeah. Pretty good opportunity there.
And then baseball and softball. We're already working on plans for that, right? I mean,
slow down, Jaron. Slow down.
But we won't have another show. So
this is the gift that keeps on giving. Like you finish one, you roll into the next one. It's glorious, right?
I'm already working on the baseball schedule for me, at least. So
stop it. Let's get through basketball.
Well, and speaking of that, moving on to what's next as we close out tonight. We got the realignment show coming up in February. We will have a bEast from the East realignment show. Once they release the districts, we'll talk all things realignment, and so that'll be a lot of fun. So I guess we'll kind of go around the horn and let you guys close out in your closing remarks for the season. We'll start up top with you, Jeremy.
Man, just again, thankful and blessed. Like KO said, if I could get somebody to, if I could do this full time and pay the bills, it would be 100% in that zone. Like when you and I talked about this years ago, it just never worked out in the schedule. And I finally just said, all right, Lord, like I'm going to give Tuesdays in the fall. I said this last year, I'm going to give Tuesdays to basketball, and like, please let me either love this or hate it. And like, if I love it, let me do it a lot because I love it. And, man, the Lord was faithful to do that. And, man, it's just been a blast. And I've had a joyful time doing it. It's been a kind of a fun thing getting to go to places and have people recognize you from, what you do, and people that don't even have schools that play football that watch us on Friday nights. And so blessed and thankful is the easy answer there. And again, just to work with some awesome guys that love kids and love what we do and do it with excellence. And so, man, what a great first football season. Not too sad about getting second place in the pick'em. I'll take that all day, every day on Sunday. Next year I'm coming for the crown, though. So just letting you know.
Still got it. KO?
Yeah, just a fun year, a fun season. It's a grind. It's when we start back in August. Well, I start in July, getting all these things together and go full force for 17, 18 weeks, just constantly going. It's a grind, but I love every minute of it. I think it's a joy that we get to see these athletes and see them perform at their highest level, right? Like we saw them at the state game. We saw KJ and others have their best games in the biggest stage. So it's exciting. And we saw some surprises this year, saw some new teams make some runs, saw some history made. And it's just fun to keep up with. And I'm excited to see what these athletes do at the next level. The KJs and the Quebec and Junior Henderson, all those that are going to play at the next level, Camden Capehart at Winsboro. Just a lot of kids that are going on to the next level. I'm excited to follow their careers at the collegiate level too and see how they do. But overall, just a fun season, man. But I would be lying if I told you I wasn't a little excited that it's over, because it is a grind.
Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, all of us got started in this because we love supporting young folks, right? And love seeing them excel in what they do. And so another year of doing this means another year of getting to see young folks and coaches really do just really work hard and get in that paying off and getting rewarded. So
Even it's on my foot.
sorry, a 4-year-old's having a little issue here. But but I did want to mention too, something that we talk about every year is because the Beast from the East show has grown, that, you know, if there's someone that would like to, this show means a lot to you and someone that wants to sponsor the show, reach out to us. We'd love that. We want the show to keep growing. And so, yeah, great season, great year. And I better attend to this issue.
Oh man. Yeah. You got to take care of that, Jaron. You got to take care of that. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap it up for the last episode of the year of Beast from the East.
Of course, you
for
won't
Jeremy, for Jeremy Diamond, Mr. Reds NOT, K.O. Kyle Owens, Darren Peoples. I'm Mr. NETSN, Brett Swinney, signing off for the year. We'll see you next year. Realignment Show. Y'all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from everyone here at NETSN. Night, everybody.
Northeast Texas Sports Network is dedicated on delivering the most entertaining sports broadcasts in East Texas. And if you're interested in having your next sporting event streamed live, visit us online at NETSN.